All right, friends, let's get started. So you'll need both your blankets or your bolster and your blanket to begin. You're going to place your bigger blanket or the bolster this long way on your mat. Second blanket will serve as a pillow over the bolster. And if at any point when setting up you need to pause the video to set up your props, feel free to do so. So we're going to start in a supported back bend. You'll sit in front of your bolster with about an inch or two of space between your low back and the bolster. And then start to recline back. Once you recline back, adjust that other blanket so that it's touching the tops of your shoulders but supporting your head like a pillow. And then bend your knees, place your feet wide, about as wide as your mat. Knock your knees into each other to touch and rest your arms down by your sides so your arms are lower than your head. Palms facing up so the fronts of your shoulders can draw back. And then if it's comfortable, allow your eyes to close, or you can gaze somewhere in front of you, but keep the eyes super soft and try to soften that space behind the eyes. And relax the jaw as much as you can and really start to relax the chest and the belly. And to begin, rather than forcing the breath, start to simply notice it. Notice how it feels to breathe into your body in this very moment. And notice if when you inhale, if there's certain parts of your body that feel a little tight or constricted. So simply noticing, not judging or attaching ourselves to that feeling, but notice what's present. And then see if maybe you can start to slow the breath down a bit. So maybe you inhale for a count of 4. And you exhale for a count of 4. And of course, if that's too short or too long, adjust the breath for you. But the main thing right now is that you are becoming aware of your entire body. Becoming aware of the parts that are a little tight, a little stuck feeling. And then sending the breath to those parts of the body and trying to relax a little bit more. And this is a really great way to start a restorative practice in the supported back bend, where your chest, your belly can open, your mind can start to quiet down. And this pose counters a lot of our daily life movements. We'll be here just another minute or so. Notice if your mind is super chatty, and that's normal, so no need to judge it, but just notice. And if you find throughout this practice that your mind wanders off to a certain thought or past event or future event or emotion, simply the practice of noticing is healing. The practice of awareness starts to heal the body. So just by becoming aware of where the mind goes, you're starting to heal yourself. And then when you can slow the breath down with that, you can really start to feel the nervous system settle down as well. Take another cycle of breath here, staying for the exhale, not rushing. And then if you'd like to stay a little longer, you could pause, stay as long as you need in this shape. Otherwise, walk your feet in and then start to make your way off your bolster, either by turning to one side or sit upright, whatever feels easiest. Okay, and grab your blanket. You can move your bolster or other blanket to the side. Now you're going to fold your blanket so that it looks something like this, and then place it in front of you the horizontal way. Now we're gonna lie on our belly, so come onto hands and knees in a tabletop position, and then start to rock forward and lower down so that the blanket is supporting kind of right below the navel. And then bring your legs wide, like as wide as your mat, and prop yourself up onto your elbows and forearms in this Sphinx-like pose. And you can kind of wiggle your hips left and right a little bit, just finding that sweet spot. Good, and then pause, reach back through your feet, press down through your palms, your forearms, your elbows, and very slightly push the earth away from you. And start to pull your chest forward, slide your shoulders back, creating a nice back bend here, nice extension of the spine. Notice if you're doing a lot of the work with the neck, and a lot of us have a lot of mobility in the neck, so that's okay, but for now, you're gonna just keep your gaze slightly down so your head and neck can relax, and then start to feel the back bend in your upper body. And this might be enough. Feel free to stay, or if you want to deepen the back bend, press into your hands and then lift your arms off the floor any amount. Arms might be straight, might not be. If it's too intense, walk your hands forward. And if you're feeling this in your low back, very slightly direct your tailbone to the backs of your knees, like you're pressing your pubic bone into the floor. And stay here about 20 more seconds. Just breathing, relaxing the chest, relaxing the head and neck, reaching back through the heels. Take another deep breath in here. And now as you exhale, lower your arms back down and then just relax your head. I like to stack one hand on top of the other, rest my forehead down. You could also make two fists, stack your forehead on your fist or one fist. You can also, if you have a block, place your forehead on a block here. If it feels better to rest one cheek on the mat, do so. Keep the eyes soft, that space behind your eyes soft. Keep the jaw relaxed. And really try to relax the low back and the pelvis here. Almost just like you're taking a little nap, but a little bit more aware. Noticing what's present in the body. And where there's gripping or holding on. And knowing that simply by noticing, you're starting to heal yourself. And this is a nice way to massage out the belly. Definitely, I would say, before you eat your meal rather than after. And let's stay for another minute or so here. And if you need to stay a little longer, feel free to stay as long as you need. Otherwise, slide your hands back by your low ribs. Press up onto hands and knees. Find a tabletop with your shoulders over wrist, hips over your knees, and you might just take a couple rounds of cat-cow here, or hip circles, any movements that feel nice after that back bend. All right, and then sit back on your heels. So you'll take the same blanket that we were just using. Now I'm gonna place it behind me. still the horizontal way. You'll sit in front of the blanket, the folded blanket, and then start to recline back. Lay all the way down, and then bend your knees, pick up your hips, and slide the blanket so it's supporting your hips. Your hips can be a little off the blanket. I kind of like that feeling, but if that causes any tension in the low back, then slide the blanket so it's all the way supporting your hips. So you can kind of adjust the blanket, adjust your hips at first, and then bring your feet again as wide as your mat, knock your knees in towards each other to touch. And now make this cactus shape with your arms. Elbows bend, palms facing up. And I love this pose again because it lets the heart open, the belly open. And then supporting the physical body allows the mind to start to slow down a bit. And it's really important that you let your body just feel heavy, not like you need to hold on or grip. So it's not like a physical practice, a typical asana or vinyasa style class where you're engaging the muscles, but instead trying to do less, which I think is hard for a lot of us to do. And sometimes we think if something feels off, oh, what can I add to my life? And oftentimes the answer is actually, what can I get rid of? What can I purge? What do I need less of? So can you do a little less here? Let the body just feel heavy, sinking into the earth, letting the earth support you. And let the breath slow down. Send the breath down into your low belly as you breathe in. Feel it release up and out as you exhale. And take another full cycle of breath here. And then start to walk your feet a little bit closer in. Reach your left arm behind you, and then you're gonna roll all the way onto your left hip. We're gonna take a nice side bend / twist. So roll onto your left hip, and you might have to kind of scooch forward or back a bit. I like the blanket roll right underneath my waist rather than my hips, but of course adjust for you. Left arm can reach out in front of you, and if your arm feels far away, you might place another pillow under your head. So bend your knees, bring your knees a little closer in towards your chest, and then you could stay here, or if your low back is a little tender, slide a pillow or a block in between your knees. Or you might try reaching back through that right heel and really extend back through the right heel so it's a little more active. Your right arm could stay down by your side, could be in front of you, or you could sweep your top arm up and over your ear to really add to that side bend. So reaching back through the right heel, and you might just start by rocking left and right a little bit. Finding that sweet spot. And then once you found that sweet spot, stay there. And deepen the breath. So your breath doesn't have to be super heavy, but maybe start to lengthen it. Maybe it slows down a bit, so it's really supporting the shape that you're in. And keep reaching back through that right heel if your leg is straight. Breathe into your side body. And if you need a little longer, again, pause this video, stay as long as you need. Otherwise, we're gonna roll onto the other side. So roll onto your back, move slowly, try not to rush the body. Reach your right arm behind you. And then you'll roll onto your right side. And bring your knees into your chest to start. So first, just get any fidgets out. Find that sweet spot. If you need to support the head or adjust the hips, do so. And you could stay like this, or you could reach that left leg straight back, extend through the heel. Maybe sweep that left arm up and over your ear to add to the side bend. And I like to start just with a little rocking left and right. Almost like I'm massaging out my side body. Find that sweet spot. And then once you've found that sweet spot, stay here for a few breaths. Keep reaching back through the left heel. Breathe into the side body. And although some poses are slightly more active than others in restorative yoga, the practice is always to simplify, to do less, to really let the ground and the prop support us. So it's not about getting into the deepest stretch or strengthening the body, but to in fact feel supported so that the body can reach relaxation. And breathe into the side body here. Keep the chest, the shoulders relaxed as much as possible. Keep the eyes soft or closed, whatever feels best. Stay for another breath. And then slowly place your left hand down and use your hand to slowly prop yourself up. Take your time, no rushing, no fast movements. Okay, and now you'll need your bolster and your blanket, or 2 blankets, and you're gonna place them on top of each other. So the higher your setup here is, kind of the better. In fact, if you have 2 blocks, you could place 2 blocks under here. But for now, I'll just show bolster, blanket. You're gonna scooch forward, place your knees over the blanket setup so that your feet and your shins are kind of hanging off. Inch forward an inch and then slowly recline back. And bring your legs a little wide, maybe a little wider than your hips, maybe as wide as your blanket setup. So your low back really has room to spread and broaden, and you might have to inch forward or back, find that sweet spot. And then rest your arms down by your sides, away from your waist, so not touching. Give yourself some space and turn your palms up to face the ceiling so the fronts of your shoulders can draw back. And if you find that your chin is much higher than your forehead, you might need to grab a blanket or a pillow to place under your head. And then allow the eyes to close or soften, and soften the space behind your eyes. Relax the jaw, relax the throat. And as much as you can, relax the chest, the belly, the hips. Start to become aware of your entire body, noticing what's present. Noticing what sensations are present from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. Notice one part in your body that feels a little tight, a little constricted, or like you can tell it's holding on. It's trying to do some work. And then take a deep breath in through the nose. Imagine you're inflating that area up with air. And as you exhale, feel your belly gently draw back in towards center. Breathing in, filling up that constricted spot with breath. Breathing out, releasing and creating a little more space there. Notice any thoughts, any emotions that are present. Maybe they're on the past or a future event. And know that simply the practice of noticing and becoming more aware is taking you into a healing process. One step further into healing simply by becoming aware. Not labeling ourselves as that thought, that emotion, that experience, but simply noticing. And relaxing the body as much as possible. And starting to slow the breath down. And we'll stay here for our final resting pose, Savasana. At this point, feel free to pause the video. Stay in this shape for 5, 10, 20 minutes, as long as you need. And for now, bring your palms together. Bringing our thumbs to third eye center. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And a gentle cleansing exhale out. Thank you for practicing with me today. Enjoy the rest of your practice. Namaste.